Was Nvidia finally scared of AMD, and that's why they needed to make a deal with Intel? We're going to take a closer look at all that in today's episode, so let's get started.
I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
All right, so if you have been following this channel, yesterday we looked at a very top level overview of the partnership with NVIDIA and Intel and a lot of the price action that happened with various stocks. If you want to see some of the stocks and some of the sentiments that shifted after the deal, make sure to check out that video. But on today's episode, I want to cover kind of the press release that happened a few hours after that did share a lot of great information. And I am going to be honest, I do believe there are some, not necessarily big fears, but NVIDIA did need Intel to move into this market because once this market becomes a little bit bigger, AMD had a bigger advantage. All right. So very quickly, this collaboration is going to be focused in two individual markets, two different markets. It's going to be on the AI server and it's also going to be on the consumer side. In the AI server, I think, well, actually both these servers, both these segments, I think are ones AMD might have a little bit of a lead in the current moment. So let's look at the AI server. So the AI computing world right now, there are supercomputers and NVIDIA has done really well to kind of enter the supercomputer world for these AI servers with their NVL Link 72, which allows them to scale up their own custom CPU, which they have Vera and Grace, and integrate it with the GPUs to be able to create these massive systems, these giant computers and one giant GPU. This is crucial for the AI market. And this is only possible because of the ARM integration. Now, in the x86 ecosystem, there isn't anything available like that right now. A lot of the communication with server CPUs and AI accelerators are done via PCI Express. And there are a lot of limitations on how far you can scale with those systems. In theory, you can only scale up to 8, where with the ARM, NVLink, and AI GPUs, you can scale up to 72, and they're growing that even bigger and bigger and bigger. So that's where this opportunity for the AI server market comes. This opportunity is where now they can use Intel's x86 CPU, customize them where they integrate NVLink ecosystem into it. And then in the future, they can create these massive supercomputers using the x86 architecture. Now, one reason that this is something that has taken a long time is this is not where the money is right now. Right now, where the money is the AI labs, the AI cloud server providers, the AI workloads, and all that runs really well in ARM. But x86 is needed for the next leg of the AI market when enterprise users and other cloud instances start to adopt this AI race. And that is only possible because right now, the x86 is the one that leads that market. So they needed to create a way to do this. And like I mentioned right now, this x86 system doesn't have NVLink. It just has your traditional PCI Express retimers. It just has the other typical solutions that does not allow for the scalability. Again, this is something AMD is kind of going really well in. They're kind of leading a little bit because their CPUs are x86 CPUs, right? The CPUs that they create. So when that market would have picked up, AMD would have been there with all the products and all the solutions ready for it. But Jensen Huang says, look, we actually already did finish. We're doing really well with the AI workloads. Now let's work into this other market that eventually will pick up. Now, in the consumer side is a whole different way. NVIDIA right now largely targets the gaming and workstations where you need discrete GPUs. And they're very, very successful there. But they continue to grow markets. And there are other markets that NVIDIA GPUs are not really hitting. And that's kind of the integrated CPU and GPU market. And there's a lot of various reasons why this market is growing. It could be cost reasons. It could be battery life reasons, all different reasons. And that segment has been largely unaddressed by NVIDIA today. Now, NVIDIA is doing something with Intel now where they're going to be creating this system on chips that fuses the two processors where you have a CPU and a GPU integrated into one to kind of hit that new type of market, a new class of integrated graphic laptops that the world has never seen before. Now, again, this is another market where AMD, who has a very good CPU in the x86 space and has a really good integrated GPU, has done really well in entering this market. I forget the actual name. The AI Pro has been doing really well where games are being run amazing on just integrated graphics. So these are two markets where AMD kind of had a little bit of a lead in, but Jensen wants a piece of the pie. And he is doing it a little bit different, right? It's not just the traditional way that has been done. It's adding the NVIDIA flair with it. But that's why I kind of mentioned at the beginning of the episode that AMD kind of had a little bit of a lead in here. Now, there are some questions on who pays for what, right? Does NVIDIA pay? Does Intel pay? Like I mentioned, there are two markets. There's the AI server and the consumer side. In the AI server, NVIDIA is going to be a major customer of Intel server CPUs, and then they're going to integrate it into their GPUs and into their AI servers. For the consumer market, Intel is going to be a major customer of GPU chiplets. So in one market, one is a supplier. In the other market, the other one is the buyer. So I do believe Intel here is getting a good money because now they're going to be selling a lot in Intel server CPUs and potentially win market share again from AMD. Now, there's a lot of questions here where was this something driven by Trump? NVIDIA, and there's been a lot of press release that mentioned that this agreement happened way before, or the discussions happened way before the Trump administration got involved. But they do say that obviously the Trump administration is actually very supportive and happy of this deal because you have two US-based companies working together. There is also another question about TSMC. Does this mean that TSMC has a competition? Jensen and Lee Bhutan both agree that this is more just a announcement of collaborations in design, but there's no real discussions in world-class foundry right now. In foundry, right? They mentioned TSMC is pretty much the leader here, and they pretty much work with Magic, so they're not going to mess that up. Maybe in the future they'll show something else, but right now it's just a collaboration between design wins. Now, the other question was a timeline. When was this going to happen? And right now, unfortunately, we don't have a timeline, and it doesn't seem like it's going to be on 14A. Once they focus on the collaborations, once they've done more design, there's going to be more announcements down the road when the product is ready, determine if this is going to be on TSMC, on Intel Foundry, when is it going to be released. But if you are an AMD shareholder, this should be, guess, a bullish note, because it doesn't seem like within the next 12 to 14, 18 months, a new product will be released to the wild. Now, there were also a lot of fears about ARM. Why is this bad news for ARM? And Jensen pretty much breaks it down that there's two markets here. There's the ARM market, which is again for AI workloads, and there's a lot of opportunity there. They're going to continue with that roadmap. This x86 market is a completely different, like we saw, it's for a whole different market, the enterprise space that is still run by the x86 space. So it has no implications or negative terms for ARM, and ARM shareholders should be happy to hear that. So I think that's all I have for today's episode. I am away right now, so my lighting and my camera might be a little bit different. I am on another getaway weekend with the family, but I wanted to get this video out to kind of show the recent updates here with the Intel and NVIDIA. And I do believe these are markets where AMD would have had a nice competitive lead into, but now with this collaboration, I think that changes a little. And it also does show that the enterprise market seems to be adopting the AI space maybe a little bit faster than many were expecting, because Jensen needs to collaborate now with an x86 player to make sure he gets that part of the pie as well. So take care, have a good day, and see you all next time.